Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. Nice to see you all. It is STARJUMP Shipyard. I realize my jacket's on my chair here. It is STARJUMP Shipyard. We are talking part 3 of Lost Concepts of Star Citizen. Parts 1 and 2 obviously are available on YouTube or Twitch VODs. If you weren't able to see those, we've gone through a ton of ships. It was actually a very successful stream. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. I do know a lot of people were messaging me saying how much they enjoyed seeing all those concepts. A lot of people hadn't seen them before. So we're doing a part 3. I don't know if we'll have any more to cover after this because we've covered so many of them, but I do think part 3 should about tie us all up. But yes, as Daft Digit says, smash that like button, hit the follow, hit the subscribes, all that kind of good stuff. I do really appreciate it. I am hoping that tonight, like the other night, we can get a good following on both platforms, on both YouTube and on Twitch. Obviously pushing for partner on Twitch. We're very, very close. We need to get 2 more streams of 75 average viewers. So hopefully we'll be able to get the Twitch numbers up tonight. And then obviously YouTube always shows out. So really, really appreciate that. Do have a couple quick things to highlight. We are going to do a giveaway tonight. Again, doing kind of a weird giveaway tonight. Obviously, we still have the Perseus giveaway going on. As a matter of fact, let me, I just realized I don't have that info up, which I wanted to always have ready. Here it is. So do not forget, we do have the Perseus giveaway going on. Make sure you get in on that. You can scan that QR code. You can also go to the Gleam link in chat, which do I not have that ready either? I don't have anything ready. What's going on? Here we go. You can go to this Gleam link in chat and go ahead and get in on that if you haven't. I imagine most of you have, though. Jen Tong says, you're not a Twitch partner. No, I'm not. I haven't really tried for it, but they changed some Twitch partner qualification rules. So we're very close to qualifying at this point. But yes, go to that Gleam link, get in on the Perseus giveaway. Do not forget on December 2nd, which is the day before the final IAE day, we'll be doing sort of a 4-hour stream, 4-hour stream push with the Twitch drops and all that kind of stuff. And we'll talk more about that in just a minute. And then, of course, what are we talking? Well, let me see if I can get my voice here. If we're going to do the 4-hour stream thing specifically to help people get the Twitch drop, and then obviously we'll do the Perseus giveaway. Okay, let me put on my headset here because I think my producer Art is in chat now. Hey Art.
Hey buddy.
Okay. So yeah, that is happening on December 2nd. Obviously, building up to that, we'll be doing some more promotion for that as we get closer. But it's an exciting thing, nice big ship. So I know a lot of people are excited for it. We've had a good response from it. Last but not least, there is another on the giveaway front. There is another giveaway I wanted to talk about tonight, and that specifically is kind of a weird one. Let me pull it up though. I got to pull up some imagery. Let me get this up. So I'm giving away something kind of weird tonight from my personal stash. This one's from my personal stash. Going to be giving away 2 dioramas as one giveaway. So if you win the giveaway, you'll win both of these dioramas. Going to be giving away the irradiated Valacar and the Yormandi dioramas, which you can then put in your hangar or on your ship if you want some nice decorations, any of that kind of good stuff. Kind of an interesting one. I was just looking through my my hangar and thought, what can I give away? And partly the reason I wanted to confirm this is that our last winner on the last show who won a Star Citizen SitCon goodies pack, when it came to give him the goodie pack, I realized I actually did not have it. So embarrassingly, I had to tell him that and ended up making it right and got him a Cuddy. A Drake Cuddy, which is something he wanted. I had one in the hangar, so it worked out really, really well. So today, though, I do have these Yormandi diorama and the irradiated Valacar diorama. Get in on that if you want to. Now, how do you get in on that? Well, if you're on YouTube, it's real easy. All you got to do is go to the YouTube link pinned to the top of YouTube chat. That is a link to my part 2 video on concept ships. Here's the link there. Yeah, there's Sergeant Perry. Appreciate Sergeant Perry. He's the winner of the Cuddy now. But go to that YouTube link. You can leave a comment. Hello, hi, how are you? All that kind of good stuff. And just put a comment there. I'm going to draw a random comment from tonight. And then those of you on Twitch, all you got to do is hang out. You don't have to do anything. We're going to do a stream racers towards the end of the show. We'll put both of your names from both of those giveaways. Sorry, everybody. Checking one thing real quick. Had a weird... it's weird. Twitch did a bit of a restart. I don't know why. How's Twitch performing? Those of you watching on Twitch, how is that currently doing? Is that doing okay? Any weird drops? Let me know in chat. It's fine. Twitch be Twitch. VMXEO says Twitch be Twitch. Okay, weird. I just had a strange notification. Anyways, though, I'm going to take the winner from the random YouTube comments, and I will take a winner from Twitch or from the Stream Racers. I'm going to put you both in a wheel of names, and I will spin it. Winner will get the Yormandi and the Valakar dioramas. So, see Ender in chat. Ender, hello. Nice to see you. VMXEO, nice to see you as well. We got a ton of awesome STARJUMP community members in chat, so nice to see everybody. Thank you, Art, for relaying those messages. Appreciate it. Now, talked about the Perseus giveaway. We talked about the Yormandi Valakar giveaway. The next thing to talk about is Twitch drops. Okay, hold on one second, everybody. I got to do one quick thing. That feeling when you're randomly yelling at your kids. We're going to flip over. We're going to talk about Twitch drops real quick. Here is the Twitch drop that has been making its rounds in the news. I know this is a slightly controversial subject, but CIG is activating Twitch drops for IAE. So these will start on November 20th, okay? So how do you qualify for it? All you got to do is link your RSI account with Twitch. You could do that through your settings page on your RSI account settings, and then watch 4 hours of content from a streamer, a Star Citizen streamer, during the event, and you will then qualify and be able to redeem for the armor. They've got an entire how to do it sort of page here. I've had a lot of, the armor is really cool, actually. I have had a lot of people ask me if I will be participating. Yes, one of the best places to try to qualify will be on November 20th, where we do our IAE opening RSI Day stream, which will be covering the Perseus and the Salvation. Be a good time to qualify for the armor. So yeah, that's definitely happening. So don't worry there. You'll be able to show up here and watch RSI Day coverage and qualify. So that is the Twitch drop stuff. I wanted to get that out of the way right away because I've had about 15 questions on it today alone. So there we go. Couple more top of show announcements. If you remember, I am doing some GPU fundraising. It's getting about that time, working towards a production level GPU 5090 for 3D rendering and stuff like that. If you are not already supporting on Patreon, which we really appreciate, we got some wonderful Patreon supporters, do appreciate that. But if you want to do more of a one-time thing, and subscriptions aren't your vibe, which I totally get. If you want to do more of a one-time thing, I do have a Ko-Fi link or coffee link. I call it Ko-Fi because that's how I talk, but I believe it's coffee. But anyways, there's the coffee link. You can go there and support if you want. You definitely don't have to, though. You absolutely don't have to. Save your money for IAE, big event. Lots of ships coming up. We're going to talk all about the ships and the and the streams coming up pre-IAE. We've already covered a lot of those. I think we're going to start to get a lot more information on those ships here in the next couple of days. So, all right, real quick, we are going to talk about the latest IAE news before we jump into the concepts. I do have to grab something real quick, Art. So would you mind, Art, talking for a second and tell everyone your thoughts on the Twitch drops? Give us your opinion, your unfiltered opinion.
Unfiltered opinion. Oh man, I think it's a great style. I definitely think it's something that, yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I like that they're going to Twitch drops. I think it's something to incentivize those individuals who have been streaming on Twitch forever of Star Citizen things. So it's good for them to finally get in there. I think it's another step for them to try to become more serious, and I hope there's more in the future. And that's all I have to say about that. But he's still gone, so. Oh, he's back. Cool.
And I'm back. Did you say nothing but good things?
I said all the good things.
Okay, good. You know, I've heard real quick on the Twitch drops thing. I did want to mention one other thing about that. I've heard content creators say they're excited about it. I've had some players say they're excited about it. I've had some players say it's the end of Star Citizen and all that kind of good stuff. And here's kind of my opinion on it. My opinion on it is, as we get closer to Squadron 42's release, CIG is going to have to. It's not a should they. It's a have to, must thing. They must appeal to the modern mainstream gaming audience. Okay, and the modern mainstream gaming audience is a gaming audience that likes streaming platforms integrating in with their games. Getting those things, getting items and stuff for watching game streams and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, that is just something that is just sort of a part of modern gaming, right? So you're going to see more and more, instances of CIG doing that as they get closer to Squadron 42's release, because they've got to transition from a, diehard backer focused company to a mainstream audience focused company, because while they've got a lot of players, they've got a long time backers, they need more. They're going to need more for a massively multiplayer online game. Okay. We need a big, healthy player base for Star Citizen. So they're going to have to start appealing to the, to the mass markets. And I think you're going to see, not just with Twitch drops, but I think you're going to see overall new community interaction, initiatives and stuff from CIG. I just 100% think you're going to see that. And I think, honestly, it's probably going to start when they start selling Squadron 42 promos again. You're going to see even, a lot more microtransactions come into play. You're going to see a lot more promotional bundles come into play. Advertising, obviously, but that goes without saying. So, yeah, that's absolutely going to be a thing. Okay.
Grim, I would just like
yeah.
to say real quick, just cut in real quick on
Yeah.
it. Congratulations, you met your follower goal of 6,500.
Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate
It
that.
just came across, so I just wanted
Community
to.
is amazing. I do appreciate that, everyone. Thank you very much. Again, remember, everybody, and thank you, Art, for pointing that out. I do want to say, everyone, don't forget, trying to get the Twitch average viewer to 75 tonight. So if you're watching on YouTube and you don't mind, open up a Twitch window as well, if you do have Twitch, and just putting it on mute or whatever in the background just to add the viewer count. That would be great. Appreciate you as always. But yeah, Twitch drops. That's my opinion. Obviously we'll participate. So you will we will, if I can even talk, you will be able to get your Twitch drop qualification here. That will be something we'll do. Obviously, next week is a big week. IAE starts on Tuesday. We're going to have the pre-IAE show. Okay. But then on Thursday will be the big one that'll start at 6 p.m. That'll be the big RSI day, IAE day one stream. I'm really tongue tied tonight. Sorry. It'll be the big opening stream. We're going to go long, probably 4.5 hours or so, everyone maybe even longer, so everyone can qualify for your initial Twitch drop. You can get it right out of the way day one. We're going to have a one-of-one Perseus poster giveaway. Some of you saw that. I know I showed that the other day. I think, let me just check to see if I have that up and ready. Probably don't, because apparently as much as I prepare, I'm still vastly underprepared for this show every time I do it. Yeah, I don't know where I put that damn thing. I had it, and now I can't find it. So either way, here it is. Let me put over. So we'll be giving away a one-of-one Perseus poster. The Perseus art, the render itself, will be replaced with whatever the game-ready looking model is. So I only do one of these. I did one for the Polaris when it launched, and we'll do it for the Perseus. It's in the theme of IAE. We'll be giving that away on RSI Day. and be reviewing the ships, the RSI Perseus, and of course the RSI Salvation. Okay. So yeah, that's my opinion on Twitch shops. Got a couple other things to cover. Don't forget, as we're discussing here, IAE only 6 days away, 6 days, 17 hours away. Here is the calendar. If you don't remember, again, talking about that first day, November 20th being RSI Day. It's going to be a big one. Perseus Salvation slated to be released, as well as our first limited hull ship, I believe, which will be the Connie Phoenix probably on that day. I'll need to pull up that. I did screenshot that information, but yeah, probably be the Connie Phoenix that day. Well, we got a raid. Who we get a raid from? We got a raid from someone. Oh my goodness, it's our good buddy Citizen Spooner, just raided with 174 viewers. Oh my God. Remember that whole thing I talked about average Twitch viewer count? That just went out the window. Citizen Spooner, we just talked the other day, buddy. I hope you're doing well. It was absolutely awesome to talk to you while you were streaming the other day. For those that don't know, Citizen Spooner does absolutely amazing content. Make sure you go check him out if you haven't already subscribed to his channel. Just an awesome dude. Citizen Spooner, tonight we're going through a few top of line things. We're talking about the Twitch drops. We're talking about the IAE stuff, but we're going to be going into part 3 of our lost concepts of Star Citizen. Okay. So, a lot of people don't know, but there's been a lot of concept ships designed in Star Citizen's history that never saw the light of day. We did a part 1 about a week and a half ago. We did a part 2 just a few days ago, and then now we are on part 3. We're covering concepts that CIG developed, and then those just never found their way into the game, or if they did it in a much different way than what was originally sort of concepted out. So Citizen Spooner, thank you for bringing your community over here, buddy. I really appreciate it, and you're an awesome dude. We've had some great conversations. I've been watching you from the beginning, as you know, and you're growing really fast on YouTube, and it couldn't be happening to a better dude. So YouTube and Twitch. So you've been doing awesome, man. I'm glad to see your success in the streaming market. So real quick though, since we did just have a bunch of people join us, I really need to take this pause and go over this. We are giving away an RSI Perseus. You heard it here. RSI Perseus, will be giving that away on December 2nd. Okay, December 2nd. Okay, that is the day before the last day of IAE. So if you want a chance to win, it's real easy. All you got to do is scan that QR code or go to this Gleam link. It is free to enter. There's a number of ways to enter. Just go to that Gleam link pinned into chat or post it in the chat. As a matter of fact, I may pin that one in the Twitch chat at least. But there it is. Go to that Gleam link, get registered. So it's totally free. Everyone's got an equal chance. That'll be a RSI Perseus with a 120 months insurance. And literally the day we do the giveaway, we'll do it live on stream on December 2nd. And then whoever wins, right then, I will be sending them the RSI Perseus. So if you win, you'll be getting your Perseus while IAE is still technically going on. So very, very cool. Tom says, greetings from Germany. Love your videos. First time see you live. Great. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining from Germany. Appreciate that. Okay, let's see here. Let's get back to it. Again, we talked about the RSI Perseus giveaway. We do have one other giveaway I'll go ahead and mention since we had a raid. I know for the rest of you, we just went over this, but I am giving away 2 dioramas in the same giveaway, the Irradiated Valakar and the Yormandi diorama. If you want to win those, all you need to do if you're over on YouTube is go to the YouTube channel, or sorry, the YouTube video link pinned to the top of the YouTube chat. Leave a comment there. I'm going to pull a random comment. And if you come over from Twitch or you're on Twitch right now and you want to get in on that giveaway, you don't have to do anything. Here in a little bit, I'm going to do a Stream Racers event live on stream that you'll be able to enter through chat. And then the winner from that, I'll take the winner from that and the winner from YouTube, put you in the random wheel of names and we'll spin it. But going back to the schedule here again, you can see RSI is going to be a massive day. On Drake Day, we're going to have the Clipper and the Golem Ox. For those of you who don't know what the Golem Ox is, that is a potential new ship that I covered recently. November 24th, we'll be covering the L-22 Alpha or Alpha Wolf, whatever they're calling it. November 26th, the Grey Cat MDC. And then ultimately Aegis Day, which is our biggest question mark. We don't know if something new is happening, but I was talking to Nonstop Bops today, and the thing that makes the most sense for that day is the Javelin, but I just don't think it's coming. I think Aegis is just going to be the last day because it's the last day. But hey, I'm ready to be surprised. So thank you for the follows, everyone. Thank you for the subscriptions. I do appreciate it. We hit the goal tonight. You're already amazing. So I appreciate that love. Let's go ahead and do one more IAE thing, and then we're going to go ahead and get into our main topic tonight, which is the lost concepts of Star Citizen. Last thing CIG posted today was an IAE 2955 FAQ. Most of this was pretty boilerplate information. I don't think it's anything we technically have to cover in detail. It's the actual start time of 1600 UTC, all that kind of good stuff. But there was a couple bits of information here that particularly stood out, and I do think we need to cover them. Okay, the first one is on the Anvil Lightning. Okay, this is a big change. Previously, the Anvil Lightning, you had to get only a few ways. It was through a golden ticket or a promotion or hitting a concierge level. CIG is now going to be selling the F8C as a standard pledge. Anyone's going to be able to get it during these type events. You just pledge for it like you would any other ship, which I think is the right thing to do, personally. However, what they have done, and I think this is a cool thing, is that for any existing owner who's owned it before the pledge is gone, just to be a standard pledge. So any of us that got it during concierge or during, any of the in-game events and stuff like that, we will be getting a special paint, which is actually, what's the name of the paint? I forget what it's called. Nightweaver livery, which you can see right here, which is actually a really awesome looking paint. I love the decals on it. Really, really slick. It's got this F and 8 kind of design here with the lightning bolt. Just really cool. I think it's a solid paint. So we'll get that. Those will not be retroactive, by the way. Those will not be retroactive. So it's only the people who have the stuff now. Okay. And by the way, I did see a question pop up from Hedford. We will try to grab those, everybody. We don't have the bot running tonight, but we will try to grab questions. Last but not least, couple of other things. They did post the limited waves, so you'll want to look at that if you're looking to get a limited wave ship at IAE. So Kraken, Idris, Javelin, all that kind of good stuff. You'll have the capability to do that during IAE if you've never done that before. It is a F5 war. It's an F5 race. Good luck is all I can say. Be persistent. We'll have more information on how to increase your success of landing an F5 win or a limited ship hull contest in a later stream here as we get closer to IAE. But the big news here is this one. It says here, is there anything else that's new this IAE? And it says, yes, IAE 2955 is your final opportunity to pledge for certain ships at their current pricing. Sometime after the event, these ships will receive a price adjustment to reflect their recent and upcoming development updates, okay? And there's 4 ships here. The Miss Hull A, which is currently out, the Miss Hull B in development, the Argo Raft, which is currently released, and the Gatak Raylan, also in concept, possibly in development. How do I read into these? I don't want to overly read into this, but here's what I will say. We do know that the Hull B is in active development. We just got an update about that in the latest PU monthly report, but I think the real focus here should be on the Gatak Raylan. Now, all these will see price increases, okay? We all but suspected the Gatak Raylan would get a price increase, so that's not a surprise there, okay? That's not a surprise at all. But what does it say about the Raylan's production timeline? Is it still technically in concept? This has been another ship that has both went into active production, then come off after production, went into reconcept. So we've heard a little bit about the concept, the cargo carrying capabilities of this being altered a little bit. Here's what I have to say. I would suspect that the Raylan is either in active development now or probably going into development within the first 6 months of 2026. Partially because what they're probably going to try to do is boost the price of the Raylan after IAE, so that when we hit Alien Week of next year, the price has been increased by that point. And what I would suspect is that CIG is going to want to pull back the curtain on why that price increase is occurring with the Raylan. So what that means is either during IAE here next week, or perhaps early next year, or anytime in the first 6 months of next year, I am suspecting we will get a pretty substantial update on the Gatak Raylan. Maybe they'll show that it's going in active development. Maybe they'll show some reconcepting stuff with it, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that's what we're going to see. I think that's what we're going to see. Okay. Okay. That being said, I think we need to get to the main topic of the show here. We probably did get a few questions pop in, so I'll hit those up real quick as we go into the new, as I get the new concept stuff ready to kind of go over. Headford says, do you believe will be a gift to referrals like Dragonfly this year? Don't have it. So, okay. I think you're saying that, is there going to be any sort of a referral gift thing this year? I'm not 100%, to be quite honest with you. I haven't seen one of those in a while. What was the last one? I think the last one was like a PTV or something. I can't remember actually. So I'm not sure. I'd be curious to see what CIG's plan of action is for referral, like one-time referral rewards like that are going to be now that the new referral reward system is in. I'm not sure what their path is forward for that kind of stuff. So real quick, everyone, again, thank you for all the follows. Again, there's so many to mention. It's hard to. Baconator, War Boss, Smearnoof, Rev, Cup of Tea, Abyss, Indigo, Morbid, Awe, Mage, Agro Sauce, Crash Motto, Chief Tygon, Nugu, Razorfar, Ravage, Lucia, Fraidster, Dullwiz. They got a posture check from SS. Thank you very much. Ghost Curse and Jivid. Hopefully I got that right. Appreciate that support. Thank you very, very much. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, we're going to jump right into it. We're going to start with some concepts. We'll do some Q&A today. So it's going to be a fun show, but let's go ahead and jump into things. Okay, so digging through the concept art vault, I found some really interesting, again, additional ships that were really interesting. Some of these we saw portions of the last time we viewed concept ships, okay? And this one here was one of those concepts we reviewed previously, but we reviewed only one image of it. And that is the, if I can learn how to talk here, that is the Drake Corsair. Okay, so these are Drake Corsair concepts. But there is one in particular I really wanted to look at pretty carefully, and that is this one right here. Okay, now I think what you're seeing here is something very similar to what we're going to get with the Drake Clipper on Drake Day. Okay, now I don't think this is what the Clipper is technically going to look like, because in the silhouette there was some clear differences between what we're seeing here and what the Clipper looks like. The Clipper, first off, is definitely using what do you call it? A vulture type canopy. Oh, is C Daddy in chat? Did I miss that, Art?
You did indeed miss it.
Okay. C Daddy CIG, thanks for joining us in chat. I appreciate you hanging out as always. Always nice to have anyone from CIG hang out with us and have a good time. So yeah, thanks for hanging out. But going back to this, it's clear that the silhouette for the Clipper is different. It's for sure different. But why I wanted to show this is it does show that CIG has been thinking of these type of ship designs when it comes to Drake. If you look through some of their previous concept work for the Corsair, the Cutter, and other ships, you can see they've started to play with this sort of vertical wing aesthetic, okay, that we sort of think the Clipper is going to have based off the IAE trailer and a couple other things. Imagine if you took this wing down here, moved it over to the the port side of the ship, and then you put a larger wing on the starboard side of the ship. You start to really get close to that Clipper sort of silhouette aesthetic, right? So again, nothing specific here, but it just shows you that CIG has been thinking of vertical wing layouts for some of these Drake ships. Again, you can see that same ship here from the rear with a large vertical fin, or I guess inverted vertical fin going down underneath and stuff. I don't know. I really like that type of shape language. I know a lot of people have complained about it having like this huge cross section and that it being, oh, it's going to be bad for, combat pilots, going to be an easy target and all that stuff. And I don't really care. I mean, to me, every ship's an easy target technically because you can target them. So I don't know if any ship is, if you're getting down to the edge cases where cross section makes that much of a difference, then you're already, probably a good combat pilot and evading. So if you're someone that doesn't do combat, it probably doesn't matter how big or small your cross section is. You're probably going to die. So it's pretty easy when you're someone like me who maybe isn't like a combat focused pilot, right? Aiden says, is it possible they could release the Ironclad at IAE without the command module tech online due to the monthly report photos? No. The PU monthly report for the Ironclad, the only reason it looked pretty far along is because they're using the Drake kit. And that's something they did talk a little bit about. They're using the Drake kit, which does accelerate the look of the white and gray box phase beyond what it technically is. So no, I think the Ironclad, the soonest we'll see the Ironclad, in my opinion, will be Drake Defense Con or Defense Con Day in May of next year. So, and CIG is going to want to build that up. That's 2 big ships. Remember, the Ironclad's bigger than the Perseus. I mean, if the Perseus is still 100 meters, the Ironclad's significantly bigger than the Perseus. So the Ironclad is going to be a big, big release, right? A very big release. And it's 2 of them, the Ironclad and Ironclad Assault. So again, a lot of interesting designs here. When I see stuff like this ship here in the middle and even this ship here on the end, I start thinking about, and Art, I don't know where you're at on this, but I do start thinking about Drake's, the gap in the Drake line, especially from a combat perspective. They do have a kind of a gap from the Buccaneer all the way to the Corsair. And even the Corsair is not really a combat ship. It's an exploration ship. The Cutlass is sometimes referred to as a medium fighter, but let's be honest, it's not. They have the Buccaneer, and then they don't really have a medium or heavy fighter. So when I look at stuff like this, to me, this looks like what CIG would do possibly for a Drake heavy fighter. I don't know. What do you think about that, Art? Do you think Drake needs to have those other combat fighter classes?
Well, like what we discussed earlier in DMs earlier today, I definitely would like to see more of these other manufacturers coming out and kind of filling those gaps that they have missing. And I think, this year and next year.
Yeah.
Before 1.0, I'd like to see some more variety in space. Because right now, when it comes to, you always have your personal preference and choice, but there are a lot of people out there that, start going to searching for the meta. What's the meta for this? What's the meta for that? How can I min-max this the most? So I would like to see some more diversity in the verse. And I think those are good concepts that could possibly fill that gap. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think they're really interesting. One of the things I like about them is much like the Kruger and Mirai brand, I feel like Drake can bring something a little different to the table over Aegis, Anvil, RSI even, that can be a little bit funkier, but still play that role really well. I would say the one on the far right here is maybe a little bit more traditional, but with the forward swept wings like that, it's definitely different. If anything, it's a little bit RSI-ish, but again, very different. But then the one here in the middle, I would just love to see these type of ship languages more prevalent in the verse, just to see a variety of silhouettes, right? I think that would be really, really cool. Moving along, we're going to move along. We have quite a few more concepts to get through, everybody. Here's another set of Drake Corsair concepts. And again, you can really see CIG starting to play with the wing structures. Even here's a funny thing. In some ways, it looks like they're just taking a wing and moving it all around these different directions. But for some reason, for me, it works on all of them. And again, it's because of the sort of design language that they have established for Drake, which is, function over form, right? So it's more about leaning into what will make the ship do its role better. Now, I know some things are purely design or rule of cool related, but in lore, you can make up some reason why it has certain things. And again, I like the idea that CIG or that Drake designs their ships not with like attractiveness and beauty in mind, but more functionality and getting the job done. So it's just an aspect of it I like. I think there's some interesting stuff here. I could see this design here being probably a great, I guess you'd call it a large cargo ship, but on the smaller scale. So right now there's an interesting issue with Drake and its cargo capabilities. So Drake has the Cutlass Black at 46 SCU. And then it has the Corsair at 72 SCU. So small amount of cargo for a ship that big. But then after the Corsair at 72 SCU, you have the Caterpillar at 576 SCU. So there's this huge gap in the Drake line for cargo. And I would love a ship like this, but obviously scaled up because the silhouette's huge. But scale this up 3 or 4 times. Make it about a 70 meter, 80 meter long ship and fill that cargo gap in between the Caterpillar and the Corsair. Something that can carry 128, 230 SCU, somewhere around in that place. I think Drake really has a gap there, and I could see any one of these sort of silhouettes, especially this one here on the far right, kind of filling that. Distroy says, concepts, you say, time to move you to my TV. That's great to hear, because at first I thought you were saying time to leave the stream. So again, everyone, thanks for hanging out.
He's going to make you the main attraction.
Yes, Ultranaut says, what is needed is a way for the player to have access to an in-game kit bashing system. It would be nice if we can build our own ships, at least smaller kinds. You know, I don't think we're going to see anything like that, Ultranaut, and it primarily is because of the complexity involved with engineering and how the room systems work and physics grids and all that stuff within Star System. But what I think we could see in the far future, and I'm speculating here, I think we could see a future where certain pieces of ships are able to be attached and unattached. So maybe engines, if they're outboard engines, maybe different antenna array. If you take like a Cutter Scout and it's got certain kind of radar dish up top, maybe CIG puts if you do like a tier 5 Cutter Scout, like if you craft a tier 5, maybe the radar dish is slightly different designed, but still from a geometry standpoint, everything's mostly intact. I could see them doing something like that, but I don't think this is ever going to be like a Starfield situation where you're just sort of kit bashing your own ships. And I think that is primarily because of the complexity of what's going on with engineering and all that kind of stuff. So Hudson Ox has a question. If I have an F8C and buyback, until what date do I need to buy it back to receive the new paint for it? I don't know, and I'm not sure if that said it. I don't believe it did. But here's what I would say. If it was me, I'd get it out immediately. That's what I would say. If you're trying to get the paint, I would get it out immediately. So moving on. Okay, so this is concepts for the Drake Cutter. Okay, so we're moving from Corsair to Cutter concepts. And again, we talked a lot about how CIG will revisit things over and over on some of these concepts, especially when they're doing those initial geometry kind of explorations, right? And I'll go down here. You can see, again, even from Corsair over to Cutter, we're seeing a lot of the same design language. Even here, you're seeing something that looks like Drake's version of a Prospector, right? You're seeing almost a Vulture style look applied to this one, where they literally just took pieces from the Vulture. When we do our kit bashing, when I do my kit bashing for things like the Argo capital ship and stuff, and if you've ever seen any of those streams before, this is why we just take parts and pieces from other ships in the beginning. Before I get to any sort of custom modeling, and I know VMXEO's in chat, he probably does it too. Before I get to any sort of custom modeling, I start with kit bashing, because that is clearly what CIG does. And that's what we do in the movie industry as well. You know, for those that don't know, I work in the film and television industry, and we do the same thing in the film industry. We don't just start building from scratch. We'll usually kit bash. We'll actually buy models online from like Turbo Squid and stuff. We'll kit bash from there. You can buy entire sci-fi spaceship greeble packs from Turbo Squid and other places. And it's like Legos, right? You start applying things and you try to get to something that sort of looks interesting. Once you're there, then you do a little custom modeling, a little stretching, squeezing, all that kind of stuff to get things to look good. Only when you're feeling really good do you start wasting artist hours on actual custom modeling. And why is that, right? Why is that? Well, that's specifically because artists are expensive, especially freelancers. Okay. And you don't want them wasting tons of modeling hours only to reject something. You want to prioritize the hours at which they're working. Okay. You can get a lot more concepts finished by kit bashing than modeling. Okay. If you can get 100, if you can get 25 concepts done through kit bashing, you probably could only get 2 or 3 done from custom modeling in the same amount of time. It's probably that big of a gulf or something like that. Let's see here. Continuing on. I thought these were interesting. What are these? These are Mirai Pulse concepts. The funny thing with this, and I wasn't going to show these originally, but then while these are supposed to be these small kind of hover bike sized vehicles, you could easily scale these up into ships. This is sort of why I want to show this. And specifically, I wanted to look at this one, and man, is this something I wish CIG would have done. VMXEI, I know you're probably in chat. I don't know if you want to jump in voice, but we could pull you in voice if you want to jump in the waiting room. But this is something I would love to see CIG do. If you look at this piece here coming out, it's almost like a semi-opaque, glowing kind of just piece of greeble. And again, it looks really, really interesting. And think about this. If that kind of piece was on a racing ship, let's say it was just purely design, right? And they put that on a racing ship, when a ship or vehicle is going really, really fast, it's going to look like a streak. So it's actually like functional geometry that then turns into a visual effect based off speed. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. I'm not saying that this specifically here is a successful implementation of that. Hey, and there's Execute in chat. Execute, nice to see you, buddy. I'm not saying that this is a successful implementation of that, but I love the concept and idea behind it, right? So, I mean, this is pretty big, but imagine if you had just small pieces of this on like the wingtips of a ship or something like that. And the faster it goes, it leaves those streaks, right? I don't know. It could be kind of cool. It would definitely be Tron vibes. It would be sort of referencing that bit of sci-fi pop culture. But there's a lot of stuff in Star Citizen that references sci-fi pop culture, right? So why not Tron? But again, I just thought some of these were kind of interesting. Even this up here, if you turn this entire top section here into more of like a canopy cockpit where you're actually inside this and this is scaled up, I could see this being a really cool looking racing ship, right? There's a couple of interesting designs here. So I thought it was worth showing. Again, sometimes the interesting concepts come not just from the huge ships, you know, the ironclads and the Krakens and stuff, but sometimes it's the really small stuff like this too. Again, remember, design work, artist work is going into that, and there's some really kind of interesting stuff that's being played around. I like these better than the Pulse we got. I do like the Mirai Pulse. It's actually the only Mirai ship I like, but I like these a little better. Interesting. Okay, we're going to move along. Again, don't forget, everyone, we're doing the Perseus giveaway. Make sure you get in on that. I'll be giving that away December 2nd. Don't forget to use my Ko-Fi link if you want to support me in my efforts to raise money for a new GPU. You don't have to, though. Save your money for IAE. And yes, we will be doing Twitch drops when those happen. And we are doing the giveaway tonight for the Yormandi and Irradiated Valakar diorama. If you want to get in on those and you're on YouTube, just go to the link pinned to the top of chat. Leave a comment on that video. That is our part 2 of the Lost Concepts of Star Citizen. Leave a comment on that video. And if you're here on Twitch watching, hanging out, having a good time, all you need to do is sit tight. We're going to do a Stream Racers here in just a little bit. And we'll pull the winners from both. And we'll put you in the random wheel of names. We'll spin it, and someone will win. Okay? Someone will win. Got a question from Novert. Thank you, Art. Question says, my question can be held till the end, he says. But we're going to go ahead and ask. It says, will you have a screen that shows the cargo capacity for each ship? I used Starship 42 for that to see if it had overlap in cargo capacity. So yes, you can do that now. Actually, you don't need to wait for an update. I'm going to go ahead and swing over here. We're going to go to hangar.link. So this is a new thing we added. Not a lot of people know about it. So I'll just pull up like the Kraken here. Best ship. Okay.
I was gonna say like the crack, like yeah, like do you have any other option? But
no, there's never any other option. It's always Kraken. It's always Kraken.
I love it.
So if you look here at the bottom, and I have my icon city icons kind of covering it up. As a matter of fact, can I turn that off? Yes, I can. Let me turn that off for just a second. On the bar here, way down at the bottom, you'll see some new icons, and this allows you to toggle additional information off. So we have length, we have manufacturer, we have role, we have crew, last known crew on the RSI website at least, and then cargo capacity, so the SCU capacity of each ship. Okay, we did integrate this a few updates ago in Fleet Viewer. It was a little bit of a stealth update, but they are there. I think when we get hard at work at STARJUMP Fleet Viewer version 2, which again there are conversations about right now and some planning, we may want to visualize this differently. There was a one point in time where VMXEO wanted to visualize it with cargo boxes. There's possibly some issues with that. But again, this is something we have thought about. It is something we want to do. But yeah, these icons at the very bottom, and then you can adjust those, that bits of information independently from the main ship font using these additional controls down here. You can change the font type and the size and stuff like that. So there you go. Okay, going back to this. And again, everyone, thank you for the follows. Thank you for the subscriptions. Appreciate the love. Moving over to this, no big mystery here. These are Tumblr Storm concepts, actually. Tumblr Storm concepts. Or was it Nova? I can't remember, actually. This may have been... No, this was Tumblr Storm, I'm pretty sure. But what this did make me think about, though, was the Tumblr Storm is obviously... I have a love-hate relationship with this vehicle. The love is, I think it looks badass and looks like something from like G.I. Joe. So I absolutely love it just for that. Okay. I did own it at one point. The hate comes from my issue with Star Citizen vehicles on a whole. Okay. And I've been pretty vocal about this in the past. And that is that Star Citizen vehicles have one, in my opinion, one fundamental problem. And to me, it's the primary reason why the ground vehicle physics has always been wonky. Okay, and it's traction. Okay, but specifically spoilers. So when a vehicle's driving, there's spoilers, right? And it's not always like a spoiler on the back of a car. Sometimes just the plane, like the actual contour of a car or vehicle is built so that air is flowing a certain way, providing downward push so that you have traction, right? Well, that's not going to work on moons that have no gravity and stuff like that. So what does that mean? To me, what it means is ground vehicles, and I'm sure John Crew and Ben Curtis have a number of reasons why what I'm about to say would not work. But from a physics standpoint, this is how it would work. What we need on ground vehicles are we need small maneuvering thrusters on the top side of them that you can apply in the vehicle. You can apply a certain amount of downward thrust or upward thrust on those maneuvering thrusters to push the ground vehicle towards the surface to give it traction. The biggest issue with almost any vehicle in Star Citizen right now is that if you are on a planetary surface with low gravity or even just partial gravity or something, you're all over the place. You cannot get traction. You bounce, you fly around, you flip, all this stuff, all because the wheels or treads just cannot grip. It's too floaty. So we need that traction. So off my rant there, going back to this, this did have me thinking when I saw this. I was like, well, what if? So Tumblr has the Storm, but what if they were going to meet something that competed directly with directly with the Nova, which I know is also Tumblr, but what if they wanted something like even bigger and heavier and more armored than the Nova? This design they need to go with. I love all the armored like panels on this thing. I know Execute was talking even just recently about armored paneling on the Perseus and lack thereof. Right here, though, I mean, you can see from just a visual standpoint, when you look at this, you think armored battle hungry brawler, able to take a beating, right? But it also looks curiously small in these images compared to this. I would scale this up by about 15%, and I would make this the next step up from the Nomad. And yes, that would probably put it in a size category that would mean that it could only be carried by like the Hercules or something, but I still think it would be worth it. Here's the thing with the tanks. They're problematic now, but they are still a lot of fun. So there's fun to be had with the tanks. I think CIG just needs to figure something out to give them that downward traction, which I think is pretty important. Art, I don't know if you have any opinions on that. I don't know if you and your group do a lot of ground ops and stuff, and you utilize
on
tanks,
the tanks.
Yeah.
We're actually happy that they don't bounce anymore. That was really, I mean, the fact that you could
Have they done new fixes to them? I care. It's been so long. It's been so long.
They've adjusted them slowly.
Tay, thanks for that subscription.
The fact now that you could fit the Storm into attack, which you've always been able to fit it into the attack.
Yeah.
But the fact that it doesn't bounce out, I would always load one up for an op, and then when I would bring it up from the hangar with a Fury in the hangar, and ready to be useful for all situations as it's coming up. I'm watching the tank bounces right out the edge of it. It purples out. Now I have to start all over and bring it back up again and load it again. It was a mess. So at least they fixed that. But I definitely agree. And hopefully with the future planet tech, when they go to moving these rocks around and not making things as treacherous for ground vehicles, I think we're going to see a lot more use for ground vehicles in operations. And I'm hoping that we're going to get more of those ground-based operations in the near future with those storms that the ships just can't penetrate, and then just not leave it up high enough that they can just airdrop things in either.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I can actually think of a lot of really interesting use cases for ground vehicles, especially when we have ground bases. One of the ones I consistently think of is and by the way, everyone, sorry if there's any issues on Twitch. I'm showing unstable, but everything, I haven't had any issues. So Twitch viewers, let me know if there's any issues on that. Apologies if there are.
I'm watching you through there, so I'm not seeing anything so far.
Okay, good. But anyway, the CIG has been very vocal that they know there's issues with ground vehicles, the handling of them, and stuff. And I think ground vehicles are something that's just going to get further iterated on as we go forward. It just hasn't been a huge need for them. But I think when we do get, XQ says I've been unstable for years. Thank you. I need to make a GIF for that. I need to make a salute GIF that is me going crazy. But I could see in a future where we have ground bases, there being a real need for a lot of different types of ground vehicles. One of the ones I think would be awesome, by the way, is a ground vehicle that can put out a sort of EMP pulses, right, to protect ground bases in the future. And that way you don't have ships sort of constantly buzzing your base to sort of keep it protected. You could have ground vehicles just doing perimeter patrols and stuff, but also if there's any, and I think they're going to have like systems at the bases to deploy EMPs and stuff, like built into the bases at some point. But it would be cool to have ground vehicles that can do that, or ground vehicles that you can park, turn on and leave on with it, like, and then they become automated anti-air missile batteries or something like that. But you don't have to be in or fire it yourself. You just drive it to a location, park it, turn those systems on. Maybe you do have to have an AI blade in it or whatever, but it will do that operation. I think that would be kind of cool. So I can still think of a lot of interesting things for ground vehicles. I still think a ground vehicle that can really easily pick ship or boxes or any sort of large stuff up and carry it short distances, like 100 meters or 50 meters. Like if you're just putting it from one place on your base to another place on your base, instead of having to get a ship and awkwardly grab onto it with a tractor beam and fly up and it's all untethered and moving it, just a vehicle that can drive over, lift it with some sort of gravity field, drive it over 50 feet, drop it, real simple, easy. I think would be really cool.
I want one of those. hate me or not for being a Clone Wars fan, but one of those LAATs that they had that would fly over those tanks and just
Yeah.
pick them up, or like your cargo helicopters of modern today that could just fly over, pick stuff up with a little grapple on it,
Yeah.
whatever, and being able to move assets that way would be amazing. Maybe not for outer atmosphere, absolutely not. I feel like that'd get a little wonky, but in atmosphere, I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, there's Piss Poor Pete. Pete, hope you're doing well, buddy.
And
real quick-
VMXCO wants a Sandcrawler, so we need to get on that. See, Daddy, you know about that. Jawa's next win.
VMXCO. Hey, look, VMXCO's the one that has got all the pull. He's got the red line to CR, right? VM. Can't you just make that happen? I think you can. So anyways, what we're looking at here, we're looking at early concepts for the Mirai Fury. I thought these were super interesting. I definitely wanted to talk about them. You will see a lot of heavy borrowing from the MISC line. Looking at here, honestly, I thought there was several interesting designs. One of them was this down here, which I just got done watching. Which one? The Star Trek reboot, you know, with Chris Pine and stuff just the other day. And this looks like a smaller version of the ship that Spock flies to drop in the red black hole goo, whatever it was. I don't know what that ship was called. It had an interesting design, but it looked exactly like this. But again, so original sort of concept designs for the MISC Fury. Again, these very simple, rudimentary sort of kit bashing things. I just thought they were super, super cool. Got this one here, which super, this one's very aggressive looking. You can see it borrowing from like MISC engines. I think these are like the engines that are on the, or at least the intakes that are on the MISC Starfarer, just drastically scaled down. You can see that Mirai kind of cockpit bubble starting to take shape, but not fully round like it is in the Fury. This here, it's sort of like about half of that. I really like this though. I think it looks super slick. I've already admitted to most people that I'm not the biggest Fury fan. I'm not even the biggest Mirai fan, to be totally honest with you. The Guardian and the Fury they're just not for me. That's just okay. I think they do look cool, but they're just not for me. This to me though, had CIG leaned into one of these directions with the Fury, I would have been more interested. A couple other designs here. I really like the first one. Again, I think that's really cool. You can see here borrowing sort of those backswept wings from like the Odyssey or the Starfarer, or sorry, the Odyssey or the Star Lancer, etc. You can see a little bit of that DNA there. The rest is pretty unique though. I don't know. I think it's cool. I love the canopy design here. It's very bubble-like, or sorry, very bullet-like. I think that's pretty sweet. This one here is like, I call this just the little fat Starfarer. I don't know if you all in chat have seen these before, but this one just makes me laugh. And the way the pilot is sitting in it, he just looks so committed to this little ship, right? He's just like, this is his dream this is his dream boat right here, and he's enjoying every minute. Yeah,
he's got the gas all the way down.
Yeah,
it was all the way down.
Yeah, but someone said this is like a mini Reliant. That's true. This is like a mini Reliant down here. That's cool. But yeah, this is sort of the baby Starfarer, just really funny looking, but again, not bad. I mean, I could see you changing this into some small industrial ship. You know, it's got a little bit of that. Then last but not least, a kind of an X-Wing design. You know, we have the Scorpius. That's kind of our X-Wing inspiration ship. But here we have another one. Looks like back when they were figuring out the Fury, they were sort of playing with that design language a little bit too. Kind of interesting. I actually do like that a lot. I actually like the canopy on it, where it's the all glass but kind of boxy canopy like that. It's kind of cool.
There, a lot of people in chat are saying that's very reminiscent to the Babylon 5 Star Fury.
I do know Babylon 5, but I never watched the show, so that's cool. And here's the thing, you know, CIG constantly will reference sci-fi stuff in Star Citizen. Obviously, most MMOs have those sort of references in them. If you ever played like World of Warcraft or anything like that, there's tons of pop culture references. So, yeah, when you look at a lot of these concepts, especially in the kit bashing phase, before they flesh it out and try to make it their own, you can probably see some really clear, direct references. So, thought those were very interesting. These are, again, just some further iterations on those. again, in landed states and flight states. So I thought was kind of interesting. You can see they were starting to figure out maybe where components would go in ships of this size. Again, just pretty interesting stuff here. I think these are the same ships we were seeing previously, but just showing them in landed state. So this one here is the one that turns into sort of the Reliant looking ship. You can see how it had a kind of a complicated fold down process for the wings, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, really, really cool. A lot of people have not seen this stuff. Again, a lot of this stuff has not seen the light of day unless you dig through the archives like old Grim does. All right, now we are looking at Spirit. Crusader Spirit concept, some interesting stuff here, especially up here at top where you see they were originally kind of looking at some, a possible asymmetric design. Again, if you know Crusader, there's sort of two styles of Crusader. One is the MSR asymmetric thing. The other is the very traditional kind of C2 Hercules, C1 Spirit series, right? And this one here, obviously leaning more into the asymmetric style of MSR. Again, someone referencing the B-Wing sort of design. Absolutely. Oh, C-Daddy. Yeah, C-Daddy referencing the B-Wing design. I don't know. I do think this is pretty cool. Ultimately, it would have been a little tricky with the two completely separate cockpit areas. Again, no way to traverse between the two. Had that been built up, though, to where there was a small interior you could traverse, it would start to get bulkier and bulkier and then possibly still wouldn't work. But again, some interesting designs nonetheless. You can sort of see how they started going with the Spirit silhouette we're a little bit more familiar with, but I do like the way this one sits. It's a little bit more bird-like. You can see here, this was going to be the E1, where you can see the other passenger seats in here. So really, really interesting. Any fans of the E1 and any of that passenger gameplay, you can see some of the early designs here for the Spirit. I do like these designs a lot, actually. This one here is really cool, too. This one reminds me of the Normandy a little bit from Mass Effect. But I love the huge bits of like glass canopy here. I think that is something CIG does need to explore on a ship in the future. So yeah, just some pretty wild designs. You can see once we get down here, we start getting a little closer to the Spirit. We know that the cockpit area started to get sort of formed into the final Spirit shape. They were still playing with this very aggressive rear end though, where it kind of flares out. Again, very bird-like, very Asperia-like. But again, I think some pretty interesting designs there for Spirit mock-ups, something I would like to see them explore again. Ravens Rogue says, question, did I see a rumor about another Atlas platform being released? For example, Atlas platform is Spartan. Yeah, so there was a silhouette shown off during, what was it, CitizenCon last year. So last year's CitizenCon, there was a silhouette shown off of another Atlas platform vehicle. We have talked about this in previous streams. I can show a visual of it here. This is the silhouette we have. So yes, there's something coming from Anvil that follows the Atlas line here. It was in production. I actually thought it would be out by now. No indication that that's coming for IAE, but maybe it's coming in December or sometime early next year. Sandgroper says, have we ever seen hover ground vehicle concepts from CIG? I don't think we have, but I do think CIG has talked about exploring it in the past, if I'm not mistaken. I do think they've talked about exploring it to some degree. I mean, we have hover ground vehicles, obviously, the Dragonfly, the Pulse, the Nox, and stuff like that, but they're more like hover bikes. I think you're talking more like larger vehicles. I don't know. I know CIG has talked about it a bit, though. Genetonic says, how do you feel about the Crusader aesthetic getting more angular over time? I'm really split on it. I know a lot of people love the Spirits, very angular, very aggressive looking. You can kind of see the influence here in these designs. But I have to say, I do have a soft spot for the C2 Hercules or the Hercules line in general and the way the hull curves. I think it was a beautiful blending. I actually think the Hercules series is one of their most successful ship designs, definitely in like the top 10 or top 15, maybe top 10 of ship designs. Just the way they handled the curves and the sleekness, I think was super successful. So I do like that as well. I personally hope they keep it a mix, though. I hope they keep it a mix. Artemis TGM says, with repair, rearm, refuel being implemented, will we see the Aegis Vulcan soon? Non-drone. No, I think the repair, rearm, refuel stuff being implemented on ships with hangars, so the Idris, Polaris, Kraken in the future, Ironclad, ships like that, I think that is purely to service the tactical fleet, those instance tactical fleet operations we're going to be doing. It's to service there so that fighters participating in those instanced engagements can repair, rearm, and refuel, because there is going to be no station to go land at to do that, because you're going to be in an instanced thing. So I think that's specifically what that is about. Moving on. This was a design. Gosh, do I remember what this was? This was a design for something. Do I still have this? Let me look this up real quick, everyone, because I think you will be surprised at what this was a design for. I thought I left the type on it because it threw me. But I want to call it out here. Let me pull up the original image because I did some cropping on these. Yeah, it's on this one here. This was original issue, or sorry, original design for, okay, yeah. So this one here on the left was a 300i concept, and the one here on the right was a really old Constellation concept. How crazy is that? Yeah, this one here on the right was a really old, obviously very rudimentary. You can see it's just very simple geometry with some lines on an original concept for the Constellation series. I have a
They kind
feeling
of kept the engines on that engine style.
Yeah, that's true.
On the...
That's true. With those downswept angles, they just made them smaller, pushed them to the back. Yep. Yeah, but pretty wild. I mean, obviously this is very old at this point. This is, I forget when the Connies came out, but this would have been very early concept work from CIG. Obviously they do their concept work much, much differently now. And then, yeah, just pretty interesting design for the 300 series. Again, I don't think this fits Origin, but does that look like something maybe Mirai could create? Yeah, I could see that being like a Mirai heavy or like medium fighter or something kind of wild and different. I don't know. But pretty interesting nonetheless. All right, now we're going to get to some ground vehicles for a hot minute. These are some original concepts for the Drake Mule. Not much to say here, but I did think it was interesting CIG was playing around with some Mule designs that were not so boxy and angular, but were originally playing with some Mule designs that actually had a bit of contouring and almost, I guess you would say, even sleekness to them. I thought that was rather interesting. You know, I'm someone who's said, you know, quite frequently that I personally would like CIG to lean into some different directions with some of these manufacturers. They can still stick to some of the tried and true design aesthetics of them, but to try some daring things I think would be kind of cool. So just kind of interesting there on the Mule. I'm going to keep going though. Here's some other Mule designs, and I wanted to show these in a little bit more detail. I thought some of these were super interesting. It looks like here that CIG was even playing with the design here that had sort of a tow behind trailer, which I thought was rather interesting. We've seen something similar with some of the Atlas platforms that were previewed for the base building mechanics, which again, I don't think they're necessarily doing anymore, but it's nice to see CIG's thinking about that. The whole trailer mechanic thing is actually not easy in games. I have not seen it done really successful in any game outside, like, you know, trucking simulator and stuff like that, believe it or not. But yeah, just some interesting designs for it. I saw this one here and thought, man, this is starting to turn into like a Drake sort of Ursa vehicle here, something that could carry like a person or two. I don't know, I just thought that was really interesting. I do like the design. When I saw these though, I did not think Drake at first, because again, it's got kind of a sleekness and very modern feel to it. But you can see some of these additional designs here. This version of the Mule, very forklifty. You can see here that would pick up the boxes, move them up, and then slide the boxes back on a rail. Kind of interesting bit of design there. They even were messing with stuff here that looked like the airport tow trucks, which is kind of cool. That got me to thinking that it would be interesting for ships. If now ships don't have wheels to roll really, except for a few ships, but it'd be cool if there was a ground vehicle that could literally pull up to a ship, grab it in kind of a gravity field, not a tractor beam or anything, but sort of a gravity field, lift the ship off the ground, a meter, and then move it around, not tethered with the rope tech that the tractor beams use, but literally move it around with the gravity field. I don't know. I think that'd be kind of cool. I could see one of these vehicles down here on the bottom facilitating that. But yeah, these are really interesting. Again, the design is kind of Drake, but feels very different at the same time. So it's just really interesting to see where CIG was thinking when they were designing the Mule. But I kind of like all of them. I really do.
I really like those bottom ones on the right.
Yeah.
You put both of them together and you've got like an actual tractor trailer, semi, whatever you want to call it, lorry type of stuff. And I think we're going to need that in the future of mass cargo movement via roads.
Yeah, I agree. And anyone that remembers back, going way back when I was doing the Skunk Work episodes, which I do plan on getting back to, by the way, the Skunk Works episodes, we would kit bash things. I think the very first one I did was a Drake ground vehicle. And it was, if you all remember, it was like a refueling ground vehicle, and it had like the big tank on it and stuff. It didn't look all that different from these. It was kind of, at least these ones here on the lower right, it looked kind of similar to these, only with a giant tank on it. But again, pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Moving on. Again, a few other designs here. I'll zoom in on these. Again, some further exploration of the Mule. Again, some of these I feel like are almost more successful than the one we got. I like I love the slant of the cockpit versus the one we got, actually. But yeah, just some really interesting stuff here with these Drake Mule designs. I think there's some fun stuff here. If anything, it shows that maybe they could iterate on the Mule and give us some variants that are kind of interesting. Maybe a scaled up version would be kind of cool. I think if we could get a Mule that's like the size of an Ursa and has some of that functionality. I don't know. I think that would be kind of exciting. Moving on. I threw this one in there. I forget. I was going to bring this up in relation to something else, but I'm going to go ahead and move past that one. All right. We're looking at another ship here. Does anyone know what this is? Does anyone in chat know what this is? Oh, I need to zoom out so you can see it better. There we go. Does anyone in chat know what this ship is? And yes, this is a ship in Star Citizen, or was going to be a ship in Star Citizen. See a couple people chiming in. VMXEO says, wasn't that an alien ship? It was. It was. Does anyone know the manufacturer of this one? Captain Tortle says, Raylan. I think you're right. I think you're right, sort of, on that. I think it was concepted back when they were concepting the Raylan, but I don't know if it was actually for the Raylan. So Kusanagi says Xi'an cargo. There's a couple other people that are saying Xi'an. Yes, you're right. It's a Xi'an cargo ship. This is a Xi'an cargo ship. VMXEO says, I really like this style. Yeah, I do too. I think it's pretty wild. It is kind of low res, so I can't get any good visuals on where the bridge is even at. I think this is the bridge right here, though. This little box looking forward. I think that's the glass canopy of the bridge. I know Execute is familiar with this one because he talked about this on InfoRunner streams a couple times, actually. Oh, yeah, Execute says Xi'an Capital. Yeah, so it's a big Xi'an cargo ship. You can see the cargo boxes here. This thing is wild. I would still love for them to investigate this and do something like this. These big vertical monolithic type ships. I mean, could you imagine being at... Execute says it's the Xi'an capital from Squadron 42. Oh, cool. Okay. Could you imagine, though, being like at an outpost or something like that, and this thing pulls up and is just sitting vertically in the air? It'd be like a damn skyscraper. I don't know. I think it would just be really, really interesting. VMXEO says it could work as a station design, too. Yeah, I agree with that. We need more vertical stations with like out the rings. I think that would be pretty cool. Really interesting, though. I did want to show this one again. A lot of people have seen this. If you were around 2 years ago, this ship was making the rounds, though. There was other content creators, definitely the info runners, and maybe one or two more that were talking about this ship specifically, this specific ship design. It was kind of making the rounds back then, and there were some people talking about it. I still think it's really interesting. I'd love to know, it's ships like this that I would love to know CIG's opinion on. Like, why, like, for example, and maybe this one is for Squadron 42, but let's say some of the other concepts we've looked at, like specifically what was it about this concept that didn't work or that concept. And remember, I did reach out to Ben Curtis, and Ben Curtis provided that statement that I've read on all these shows. Ben Curtis essentially said that while they love all the concepts, and there's a lot of them that didn't make it that he personally would really like to see built out to and go flight ready. If a concept didn't make it, it wasn't necessarily because it was bad or anything. It was just because it wasn't right for the concept they were working on at that time. But what that does mean through a lot of the concepts we've seen already and through the previous episodes is that CIG is more than willing to open those back up, take a look at them for future ships or for inspiration. Mithras 1 just cheered 100 biddies. Thank you very much, Mithras. Appreciate that. Salute to you. And thank you, everyone, for the follows. I've had a few follows in a little bit. I have my follower animation turned off just because we're getting so many. It would be annoying. It'd be the Kraken flying by. But I do appreciate all the follows, all the subscriptions. You're all amazing. I really, really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. The Real Jimmy Shrimp, Atlantis, Loki, Pac-Man. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Let me go ahead and now move us to the next image here, which is it this one? Yes, it's this one. What we are seeing now are original concepts for the Consolidated Outland Mustang. I think some of these are really, really successful. I actually love, there's actually a lot of these designs I love. I love this first one, CIG. If you're watching this, Ben Curtis, if you end up watching this at any point, I know you know that these streams are happening because we talked about it, but if you do watch this, you got to break out these old Mustang designs because these things are badass, I got to say. I even love the color scheme. But again, some really interesting design concepts here. They do kind of look Consolidated Outland, but they actually look a little bit more RSI to me now, like RSI's modern design standards. But yeah, these are some original designs here for the Mustang. Someone says it looks like Nomad language. It does. Kind of has a little bit of that Nomad vibe. Ralph Stack says that ship looks cool. A fan-made ship? No, these are CIG concepts. These are CIG concepts. These are original concept designs that CIG was messing with for the Consolidated Outland Mustang. Okay, the Mustang. I really think this is cool. I would love to get this. I would love to get this one right here. Just interesting. Very different. Moving along. These are some additional designs for the, this one was for the Nomad though. I think this one was the Nomad. At least I think. This one could have been Mustang though. I forget actually. It's for a Consolidated Outland ship. You can see they're playing with the logos here. But again, I think some really interesting design stuff. You can see here a little bit of that Nomad front end coming in. So that's kind of interesting. This is a really wild design with a big front sort of low spoiler. It's pretty wild, but I like it. You can see though on the side here, it's very much got that Nomad silhouette kind of going on. So I think these were for the Nomad, but pretty wild designs. Excuse says, hey, did they have those and end up with what we got for the Nomad? Yeah. So they had some interesting ones. Again, I think there's some really cool Consolidated Outland designs that CIG needs to circle back to. I know we're supposed to get that Consolidated Outland medium ship, and I would love to see some of these designs come out of all the Consolidated Outland work that CIG is doing. I think it look cool. Really cool. I dig it. II50mm says, question, would a ship like this have dual flight operations, vertical when flying and horizontal when going through a jump gate? Otherwise, how would it jump? I think you're referring to this ship. I mean, I guess technically it could fly like this. There's no reason why it couldn't. It is a capital ship, but the the jump points would be big enough to accommodate it. It might be a little unwieldy, but it could work. XQ says, bottom right Nomad looks Apollo-ish. Yeah, it does kind of. This one down here. Yeah, it does. It does look very Apollo-ish. Artemis TGM says, question regarding CASCOM. Is the Javelin capable of flying in atmosphere, or is it only able to dock ship in low orbit? I don't know. It'll be, we need to see what CIG is going to do with that. I mean, CIG's already made some movement in trying to make those big giant capitals not be able to do atmospheric flight well, with just some of their performance metrics. But yeah, I think in the future, the Javelin will be very dangerous to take in atmosphere. But it'll be capable of docking in Orson, no problem. With CASCOM, I'm a little unsure about, though. You're talking about the Castra, CASCOM within Castra or Sherman. I think we're just unsure. I'm not 100% sure on that. I need to get a lore expert. VMXEO says, doesn't the Jav have landing gear? No, the Javelin does not have a landing gear. It cannot land. The Kraken is the largest landable ship in Star Citizen at the moment. Okay. Everything above the Kraken cannot be landed, with one weird caveat. The Hull D and Hull E probably will be able to be landed, but not with cargo on them. And even that may not be true. We'll have to see when they reconcept those. But the Pioneer, the Idris are both smaller than the Kraken. The Kraken was advertised as landing. I think CIG will stick to that. The Orion does not land. The Endeavor does not land. The Javelin does not land. The Battle Cruiser will not land. The Bengal does not land. So yeah, those the Kraken's the largest landable ship. Going to some origin designs. I did think there was some interesting stuff here. We want to spend a ton of time on it, but this may answer a little bit of your question about hover ground vehicles, actually. I'm going to zoom in. I did think these were kind of interesting here when they're the G12 series from Origin. They were messing with some rather interesting designs, including this one down here, what looks somewhat hover-like. And these are even a little bit like almost mule looking. But also down here, there's another design, and right here you can see that looks very hover ground vehicle-esque. Now, these aren't much more than drawings, but it's very possible that CIG, again, was entertaining that idea of a ground vehicle that can hover, and that's how it gets around. I think this still would have been badass for Origin to do something like that. Maybe we'll see that, though, in the future. So Janice says, question, would it be possible to get a STARJUMP poster with the best unused concepts? Asking for a friend. Possibly, but I obviously I can't sell anything with CIG property on it. I've already talked to CIG about that. Not that I ever intended to, but for giveaways or something, I guess anything's possible. Here's what I wish CIG would do. I know C Daddy, you're in chat. C Daddy's in chat. Oh, Griffin RPG's in chat. Griffin Gaming RPG, salute to you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Here's what I hope CIG does one day. I talked to Paul Jones, former art director at CIG, about this before. I mentioned this to Ben Curtis before. But what we really need are concept art books that CIG puts out. And it'd be cool if they did them based off manufacturer. Sort of like how World of Warcraft and Blizzard does with World of Warcraft concept art. Each expansion gets a hardbound concept art book. It'd be cool to get that for manufacturers for Star Citizen. So you get the Drake book, get the Crusader book, and it just has tons of concept work for those manufacturers. If CIG did that, I'm telling you, it's money. It's literally money on the table. Pun intended, coffee table book. Yeah, 100%. It's money on the table for sure. Kusanagi says, StarJump Grim, we're wondering when you're jumping into Scum with us. You know, it might be time soon to fire Scum back up. It's been a while. It might be time to do that very soon. VMXEO says, let me wake CR up on the hot phone. Yeah, get a hold of him. Let's make it happen. I should have told that to Sandy when I met her at Quantum. I should have said, Sandy, we need that art book. But yeah, some really interesting designs here from Origin. I love these versions here with all the glass. I do know that the Origin G12 series, though, does have a lot of, like a big glass canopy, but I actually kind of like these even more. Pretty interesting. Some additional designs here. Obviously, they took these more into 3D. This is back when they were playing with the G12, having a little bit more of a little larger of a canopy section there, so you could see a lot of its internals, which I think does give it a bit of like elegance. I do like that quite a bit. Real quick, everyone, do not forget, and we'll post these in chat. Do not forget to get in on our Perseus giveaway if you haven't already. If you're joining us and haven't got in on that, just follow the Gleam link you see in chat. Follow that Gleam link. It's free to enter. Perseus giveaway, giving that away on December 2nd. If you want to get on the Yormandi and Irradiated Valakar diorama giveaway tonight, all you got to do if you're on YouTube is go to the link pinned to the top of chat. Go to that video. That's my Concepts Part 2 video. Leave a comment there, just a random comment. It can be short. Hi, hello, how are you? I'm going to pull a random comment from there. And then if you're on Twitch, all you got to do is hang out for a bit. We're going to do Stream Racers in a little while. And we'll pull the winner from that. And we'll put you in the random wheel of names. We'll spin it. Whoever wins will win the Yormandi and Valakar diorama. They're pretty cool. If you haven't seen them already, where are they? If you haven't seen them already, they kind of look like this, or they look exactly like this. There's the Yormandi, and there's the Valakar. You can put them in your hangers. Pretty cool. Don't forget to like the video, as Art says. Appreciate that. If you want to support what I do, feel free to visit the Patreon at any time, obviously. Really appreciate that. You can also visit the coffee link if you want to do sort of a one-time support there. You don't have to, though. You can save your money for IAE. That's cool, too. It's cool, too. But we do appreciate all the support. As long as you're just hanging out, watching the stream, you are supporting. So I appreciate that. All right, moving along. Okay, we are looking at Greycat Rock concepts. And I think there's some really interesting stuff here. This is back when they were messing with the rock as having some sort of tank tread sort of system down here, which I actually think would be really, really cool. I have the worst luck driving the rock, by the way. I literally flip it every time I drive it. Every single time I drive the rock, I flip it. Thankfully, it can be picked up by a tractor beam. But yeah, every single time. So again, not much to say on these. I don't think we have to go really in depth here, but I thought it was interesting. What this does make me think about, though, when I see this sort of top illustration up here, there's been a lot of discussion about ground-based, and when I say ground, meaning mining in the ground, like drilling in the ground, ground-based resource mining, as the Prospector was sort of originally pictured to do. I could see a ground vehicle like this being a ground-penetrating miner, to where it sort of uses a beam or whatever and pulls resources up from the ground. I think could be kind of interesting.
So VMX had a good point on that one, and that one particular right there is that you know, even the concept artist wanted to shoot the rock.
That's true. That's true. CIG or C Daddy, don't let VMXEO talk like that. The Rock is one of the best ships, vehicles, whatever, in the game. I'm just kidding, obviously. I'm being sarcastic. Like I said, I've never driven it and not flipped it over every time. Here's the thing. I love the idea of the Rock. And they actually did make the Rock more successful with some of the more recent events. The problem with the Rock ultimately is that the ATLS is actually just a better implementation of the same idea. Now it is scaled down, but if they could make an ATLS that's like bigger, has a bigger carry capacity and stuff, it would actually be the better like ground miner, right? Think about the ATLS's big brother. So like 25% taller and fatter and bigger, slower. Something like that would ultimately, I think, make the best sort of ground miner. But I get why they did the Rock. I mean, from a concepting standpoint, the Rock makes sense, right? Like if you're like, hey, we need a ground miner vehicle, right? It makes sense. Totally makes sense. It's just the implementation, the gameplay doesn't really suit what we got. But I think CIG is even aware of that. I think they'll enclose the cabin, make it pressurized, like a pressurized space and everything in the future, but it's just low priority. So, here's some concepts for the Asperia Talon. One of the ships I also have a love-hate relationship with. Won't spend a ton of time on this, but I do think there's some interesting silhouettes. These haven't been totally built out, but you know, I still think we're due to get another kind of Asperia Tavaran-based ship at some point. Maybe it'll be a heavy fighter or a medium fighter, and there's some interesting concept designs here. I mean, some of these are crazy with the amount of those like little winglet things they have. But again, I do think there's some interesting designs here. If you remember back to one of those silhouette things they showed at a previous SitCon, going back like 3 years ago or so, you'll probably recognize some of these silhouettes or some of these shapes from that silhouette. But kind of interesting, not fully thought out here. I would fully admit that these aren't, I wouldn't say these are like successful, but I think there's some interesting concepts here that CIG could like explore in the future at the very least. Moving along. Again, a few more designs here. This, obviously, they're starting to lean a lot heavier into what the Talon became, but just kind of interesting. Rocketman says, Prowler utility didn't do it for you. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of the Prowler either. I love the Talon, actually. My issue with the Talon is the two different variants of it. I wish it had just been one variant that you could switch the weapons out on. This one's interesting. So this is a design for the Santokyai. And there's something really interesting here that they were playing with. When I was looking at the designs for this, or sorry, the write-ups for this, this was described as some sort of shield system. So these winglets would like deploy and open up this like overpowered shield or something like that. That's how I read it. I could be wrong if a CIG ship dev is watching this, shaking their head saying, no, that's not what that is. That's the way it read in the write-up that came along with this, is that it was some sort of deployable shield system. You can see that here in these above illustrations. Kind of interesting nonetheless. There's some interesting design stuff here. I really like this. It's kind of play on the Cartual, but I love the look of it even more. I would love for them to lean into this. Just really, really cool stuff. Very different. When I was doing research for this episode and came across these, I had never seen these before. This was new to me as well. So pretty interesting. Continuing to move along here, still have a few more to cover. Here's some more. These were Cartual designs, concepts from back in the day that I thought were kind of interesting, even back when they were playing with it being more traditionally like the planar, I guess I would say the flight orientation was a little bit more traditional. Let me get those words out in these upper images here. And then as we move down, I think these are really, really cool. I would love for CIG to explore this shape language here. Very, very different. It's got Cartual DNA for sure, but I actually like the look of this more than I do the Cartual that we have. So really, really interesting design language there. Love that. And you can see where they were playing with some other stuff down here too. Even some where parts and pieces of the ship look like they were sort of separated by like gravitational gaps or something like that. Kind of interesting. Continuing on. These were original designs for the Corsair. Again, we're circling back to the Corsair another time. Now, here's the interesting thing about these Corsair designs. This is kind of fun. So back when the Corsair was sort of originally being concepted, and they may have always knew they were going to call it the Corsair, or rename it, but there was a period in the Corsair's development where it was just referred to as the Super Cutlass, which I thought was kind of interesting. They just referred to it as the Super Cutlass, and you can kind of see that here. This obviously looks like a beefed up Cutlass. Oh yeah, there you go. C Daddy just says Super Cutlass down in chat. There definitely was a time, I've seen it in some of the concept write-ups where they referred to it as the Super Cutlass, which I just love. I think the Cutlass does need a super variant, just to sort of stick it to Anvil in their Super Hornet series. I don't know. I know it's not the same in any way, shape, or form, but I could see Drake doing that. I love all these designs here. I think they're all kind of cool. I could go for any one of these. They're pretty slick. Do they look like Drake? I don't know, but I think CIG could Drakeify him. Covery Fire says top right is giving Anvil vibes. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think this top right one definitely has some Valkyrie type vibes to it for sure. Eat the Deadify, hopefully I said that right, said Apoa and Gatak don't even look like they are based off the same species. Any reason why you know of? I don't. I think it has something to do with isn't Apoa? I don't know actually. I need to get a lore expert on for that one. I would need to maybe Execute can say in chat. I don't know, but either way, I'm not sure. I think it has something to do with the different clans or something like that, but I'm not 100% sure. Moving on. Again, some additional designs for the Corsair. Again, it's just some interesting stuff in here. Nothing overly successful beyond that, but I did kind of like this one down here. I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. The wings don't work, but overall shape language of the ship I kind of dig. Rough Gaming says, originally the Cutlass was supposed to fit in Idris, right? Well, the original concept of the Cutlass was much smaller, and I think was intended to fit in more ships, like the Idris and stuff. These were Storm designs. I love these, actually. They look like the old World War I tanks. So I think those are really cool. I would love for CIG to iterate on this maybe for another tank option in the future, maybe even an alien tank. I know the default is to go for a hover tank for the alien tanks, but I think this is really, really cool. It just really reminds me of World War I tanks, the really early stuff, especially this like mono-track version here. I just thought was really cool and different. A lot of people haven't seen that one either, but again, I love it. I think it's really, really cool. See here. Will Sawyer says, have we seen alien cap ship concept / ships that may become cap ships other than the Vandal? Yeah, so we've seen, let me circle back to it here. I'm going to bring this one up. We were just looking at this one. This one is supposed to, I believe, was supposed to be an alien capital ship. I believe this one was supposed to be an alien capital ship. Cargo, like alien cargo capital, like a hull D or a hull E, something like that. I don't know what the scale of this one was. I can't comment on that. I don't know if this one would be a really hard one to put in Fleet Viewer, by the way, just because of the ratio of it. But I don't know if this is a 200-meter tall ship, 500-meter tall ship. I'm unsure. Real quick, everyone. We are going to get prepped to do the giveaway real quick. Show's not over. Don't worry, show's not over, but we do want to get to the giveaway here. So let me go ahead and pull that stuff up. We're going to be giving away that Vandal, or sorry, no, not Vandal. We're going to be giving away the Yormandi. I keep wanting to say Vandal. Kind of looks like a Vandal. The Yormandi and the Irradiated Valakar dioramas. So let me go ahead and get up the stuff we're going to need for that, okay? Now, remember, if you're watching on YouTube and you want to get in on that, just go to the link pinned to the top of chat, and you are going to leave a comment on that video. That is my part 2 concept ships video. You're just going to leave a comment there. It can be random, hello, hi, how are you, all that kind of good stuff. And we will pull a random comment from the video here in just a second, so you got to do it fast. Go ahead and switch back over here. We're going to pull a random comment from here. So you got another few seconds here to go ahead and get in on that. Let me go to advanced options. We're going to do the after date for start of today's stream, which is at 6 p.m. So we're going to go to 6 p.m. Ding, there we go. So get on that. I'll give it about another 10 seconds or so. So you got to be fast. And then if those of you watching on Twitch, we're going to do a stream racers. Okay. We're going to do a stream racers, and we'll take the 2 winners from each. We'll put you in the random wheel of names, and then whoever wins that will win the, let me pull the images back up for those who haven't seen it. You will win 2 dioramas. You'll win the Irradiated Valakar diorama and the Yormandi diorama. You can put them in your ships or in your hangars. They're pretty sweet. And they've been, pretty prominent in this year's content. We faced both of them in this year's content. So pretty cool. Nice little commemorative bit of remembrance for 2025 before we head into 2026. Lieutenant Draco says, what is a speed racer? Not speed racer, stream racers. We're going to do a stream racers thing. If you're on Twitch, don't worry. I'll tell you how to enter that. Just give it a second. We'll switch over to that here right after this. Okay. So one more minute here. Okay, we're going to go ahead now and do this. Okay, we're going to pull the random comment. Again, this is going to select a random YouTube comment that was left on this video starting at 6 p.m. today, so when the stream started, okay? So it won't pull comments from before the stream started. It's only pulling from those since the contest was announced. So picking a random comment now. The shark is hunting. All right. There we go. Doljensen34. Congratulations. Remember, if you win, you have 2 days to contact me on Discord. 2 days. We're going to plug you into the random wheel of names. Congratulations, Dolsenjin. Congratulations. Let me now bring up Stream Racers, and why I'm doing that. I'll tell you how Stream Racers is going to work. Now, once I get Stream Racers lobby up, you'll be able to enter that via a chat command. That is going to be !race. Again, it's not up yet. Give it 1 second. Once the race is going on, though, this is the important thing. Once the race is going on, you can do !boost, which will give you a temporary speed boost, but I got to give you proper caution. If you use it on a turn, you're going to fly off the track. You need to use it on a straightaway, okay, on a straightaway. All right, so we're getting ready to pull that up. Our random comment YouTube winner was Doljensen on 34, so congrats on that. Let me switch us over to the main screen, though, so that we can do Stream Racers. Where is the main screen? There is the main screen. There we go. Okay, Stream Racers is loading. Okay, now to enter the race, you do !race, !race in chat, !race in chat. That will get you in. Let's see how many racers we can get. We've had over 100 before. Can we beat our record? I think our record was 108 racers. Give everyone a few, like another minute or so to enter. Now, I did enter the race, and if I win, it will go to the second place winner. The reason I enter is just because it's my stream and I want to race. What can I tell you? Up to 70 racers. Got a few more seconds here, everyone, to get everyone in. Do ! race to get in, ! race to get in. What we're going to do, everyone, is we're going to do the giveaway. And then I'm going to take some more questions for about another 20 minutes. And then we will we'll close it out. But so we still got a little bit to go after this episode. I am going to talk a little bit about the Perseus giveaway. And there's going to be, coming up soon, starting with the IAE pre-show next week, there's going to be some ways to enhance your chances of winning in the Perseus giveaway. There's going to be some ways to get extra tickets, and I'll explain how that works after we get done with this. It won't start until we do the IAE pre-show, though. Okay. All right, here we go. Keep going, everyone. We got 87 people, but we have 190 viewers in Twitch, or at least I'm seeing 190 viewers. So let's get some more racers. ! Race. Can we beat our record of 100? I think it was 108 racers. Is the most?
It was 108.
108.
You are correct, sir.
Yeah, 108 racers. Okay.
We can do better.
But
if I win, what do I get?
If you win, here's the thing. If you win, you win because you
I don't want those. I've got those.
This is coming. Okay.
I've already got them.
Okay.
I don't need those.
Here's the thing then. If you win, it'll go to the second place winner.
Oh, that works too. All right. I suppose.
There you go.
And lunch.
Yes.
And lunch.
Yeah, exactly. All right, everybody. 92 racers. Can we get up to 108? I'm going to give it 30 more seconds. 30 more seconds. Can we get to 108? I would like to see it. I would like to see it. Let's see if we can get there. I think we can do it.
So, since we're kind of waiting on people, what is your thoughts on future Twitch drops? What would be something in the Twitch drops that we, because we have the armor, which is great.
Yeah.
What is something in the future you would like to see from them as a drop?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the type of stuff I would like to see in the Twitch, for Twitch drops in the future, and I'll just, while we're waiting people to join, I'll switch back over to this. I would like to see some, well, first off, I think they can do any sort of like subscriber flare type items are perfect fodder for Twitch drops. And I'm all for that. If they're just being kind of, maybe it's lazy that week or whatever, and they need to get a Twitch drop out, I'm totally fine with that. It gives people that don't subscribe a way to get it. In the future, though, when we get base building and there's really something to do with our things that we've accumulated, the sky's the limit on decor items. You know what I mean? And specifically, I think the Twitch drops could tie into stuff going on either in the real world or in the game lore at that time, like holidays, et cetera, et cetera. So for example, if Invictus is going on, maybe they'll have some Invictus furniture that's Twitch drop based or what have you. I mean, the sky's the limit on that stuff, you know, for Luminaria or whatever, the sort of the holiday Christmas event, they could definitely do, you know, right now they just give us sort of like paints and stuff like that in our hangar, which is great. They could turn some of those into Twitch drops. Here's the thing. Twitch drops are coming whether we like them or not. Again, I'm fine with them. I do Twitch. I get Twitch drops sometimes for World of Warcraft just by watching streamers. I'll just put it on and walk away, you know. By the way, we have 99 racers. Let's get one more, everybody. One more and we at least get to 100. But I'm okay with that. If CIG wanted to get even more creative, I think they should come out with insurance tokens like LTI tokens, and maybe if you watch a streamer for 4 hours, you get an LTI token you can apply to a ship, right? But I would also say that those are the type of things that should go to subscribers and stuff too, to be quite honest with you.
Well, when it comes to the insurance stuff, like we've talked privately about several times, I really think it should go to the testers. You know, you spend so much time in there, you get a month token, you get a 2-month token or whatever for insurance, and then it just compounds on that. And then, you know, hey, if you spend 100 hours in there, I mean, then give you an LTI.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's a great use case for it as well. So, okay, everyone, we're up to 104 racers. I'm going to go ahead and hit start. There's a 20-second countdown. While that 20-second countdown is going, you can enter the race. So hit exclamation race. Here we go, hitting start. I'll try to keep the camera on the lead pack, and then I'll catch glimpses of the middle and end pack, and then at the end, we'll watch as many people cross the finish line as we can. Okay. Oh, we got 108 racers. Very nice, everybody. Can we beat it with 109? Oh, we did. We got a new high water mark. We got 109 racers. We just crossed that. All right, here we go, everybody. A lot of racers, and they are off. Who's in the lead? Sphericon is off to an early head start. Oh, boy. They used their boost right out the gate. Probably pretty wise. We'll watch everyone land off of the jump here, see how many are successful. Most people are doing pretty successful jumps. There comes the pack. They're battling for position. Who's bringing up the rear? Christian's bringing up the rear. Well, now it's Kavotha. Poor Kavotha. All right, let's watch them come around the turns. Currently, it's just Riot is in the lead with Pog Knuckles in a close second. Looks like everyone's holding those positions carefully as they go around the curves, which is pretty wise. It's just Riot still in the lead. They're going around a hairpin now. Sphere, oh, we've had some people fall off the track. Oh, Spectre EH is off the track. Spherecon off the track. It's just Riot pulled into a lead. Rough Gaming coming up second. They're coming by an obstacle. Oh, and Hebford got hit by the obstacle, slowed him down. Watch for those cones. Rough Gaming hit a few cones, just clearing the way. Oh, and Mercury just pulled ahead hard. Nice job, Mercury, but Mercury just put himself on the guardrail. That's not going to help him. Jay the Brown now going down the straightaway. We'll swing down here, and we'll see how the people do on these series of S-curves. Jay Brown, It's Just Riot, and Citizen Ninja in our top three. There is a battle there going for second, third, and fourth position, though. We do have some racers off the track in the rear. Jay Brown hitting the ramp. This ramp is kind of dangerous because you do need to land upright. Oh, boy. Scottish Missy just did a brave jump, and he's off the track, unfortunately. Death Sweet. Now Panaro 08's in the lead. See how that lead can change. Got to be careful with those boosts, everyone. We're getting a bit of a pile up there in the midfield. Let's go around to the finish line here. Let's see how it nets out for everyone. I'm excited. It looks like Panar 08 is our winner. Panar 08. Congratulations, Panar. We'll watch the field come through here. I think we need to give everybody that. Let's watch the field, see how they do. Everyone, make sure you look for execute and laugh appropriately at him when he stumbles across the finish line. All right, here comes our field.
I hate to break it to you, but he crossed the line before you. He
Did he?
came in an 8th, and you came in 10th.
Oh, dang it. Hey, that's the first time I've hit the top 10 in a while, though.
That is true.
Okay, Execute beat me on that one. I'll let it slide. I'll let it slide. 26 more seconds here, everybody. We're watching the field come through. Look for your name. If you're too far in the rear and the timer ends before you cross the finish line, then unfortunately you did not finish, but that's okay. We got 15 more seconds here. Invisible Frog. Is Invisible Frog our last? Nope, we got a few more coming. Admiral Kusanagi in the far, far rear. What happened, Admiral? Oh, Admiral. Admiral, there we go. So Pinar 08.
Scum related.
Oh,
it was scum related.
Scum related. Okay, everyone, let me do so. Pinar 08. We're going to put Pinar 08 in the wheel of names here. Okay, Pinar 08. Let me clear out of Stream Racers real quick, and we will get ready to do this.
Oh, mix those bad boys up.
Yep,
Shake them up, Ed.
Yep, going to mix them up here. Thank you for that reminder. Let's see here. I'm just going to keep duplicating the names, everyone, so that we get a nice wheel here. Still the 2 names. We're just doing a lot of blocks for them here. All right, we're going to spin it. Good luck to you all. This will be to win the Irradiated Valacar and the Yormandi dioramas. Good luck, everyone. Spinning in 3, 2, 1. Yes, LD Draco, it's completely random for the race. Completely random. I have no control over it, just the camera control. Oh, just barely. Dosenjin 34. Dosenjin 34. Congratulations, Dosenjin 34. If you are, it's not what I meant to hit. Dosenjin 34, if you can contact me via Discord, okay, and I'll confirm it's you. All you got to do is contact me via Discord, StarJump_Grim Dojinsen. Okay, I'm saying it wrong. Sorry about that, buddy. Just contact me via Discord, StarJump_Grim, and I will get you your dioramas. I can send those later this evening. So congrats to you. That was a lot of fun, everybody. I do want to circle back and talk about something now. Let's talk about the Perseus giveaway. Okay, don't forget, if you want to enter this, if you're just joining us, you can enter to win this massive ship by going to the Gleam link that I just posted or scanning the QR code. Now, I want to talk about a few things. I have been looking into ways to up or to give people a way to engage with the content through IAE to heighten their chances for a Perseus win. I'm using a platform, I'm doing some testing on it, that tracks who all is in and watching. So like, you don't have to actively chat, but who all is in and watching the stream, and then for how long, right? So Twitch tracks that too, and this platform just ties into Twitch's API and tracks that. And essentially what I'm able to do is add a multiplier based off how long you watch the stream. So the way I'm going to do it is starting on the IAE pre-show next week on the 18th, starting on that, and then all the shows leading up to the Perseus giveaway. When you come in, if you, for every hour you watch, you'll get an extra ticket. Essentially, you'll get an extra ticket. Okay. So not enough that it like throws off the balance of the giveaway at all, but just gives you, you know, there's 5 ways to enter, I believe, via the Gleam link. Watching extra will just give you an extra ticket here and there. Okay. So it'll be a way to give those people coming to the streams and actively watching a little bit of a leg up, because I know you all are sticking with me watching stuff, and I do appreciate that. And I want to make it to where you have a little bit of an extra chance there. So every hour you watch, you'll get extra tickets on top of the tickets you got via Gleam. Nonstop Bops is in chat. Nonstop Bops, salute to you, buddy. I was watching Nonstop Bops earlier today and had a great time interacting with him. He's a lot of fun to talk to. Met him via Execute. And yeah, let me do a shout out. Did we shout out? Oh yeah, we did. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Wait, I'm way behind, way ahead of you.
Way ahead of me. Artorius, everyone in chat, make sure you give Artorius an 07 for being a fantastic show producer, keeping me on my toes and making sure I'm organized. I do appreciate that.
We need Bops on for a stream sometime.
We do. See, the problem is he's in the part of the world that
everything wants to kill you.
And all that. Yeah. And the issue is the time difference. Here's the thing. Me and Execute, I'm probably speaking for you, we would probably do more content than we do. The issue is the time difference. Me, Execute, and Trispone have a DM where we just post ship stuff to each other all the time, and me and Trispone will fill that thing up with all kinds of ship stuff, and poor Execute's asleep, and then he wakes up and he's like, "Oh my god, there's too much shit in." It's like, and he's got to wade through it. So he's a trooper already with the time difference. But yes, we will need to get nonstop. I need to get nonstop bops, Execute, Trist.
Maybe
like
one of your lunchtime streams.
Yeah, maybe so.
For that.
Maybe so. Yeah, maybe so. So everyone, any last IAE or ship questions? I'll take those here for another 10 minutes. Any questions, pop them in chat. We'll be sure to grab those. Consider this the AMA period of the stream, the Ask Me Anything period. Ohio Medic 07, nice to see you. Fellow Ohioan hanging out. Me and Art are Ohio-based. By the way, everyone, I for those of you that are in the Ohio area, I do know there's going to possibly be a Bar Citizen, maybe soonish, maybe not. I don't know. I know there was some possible planning going on. I can't say much about it. I'm not in charge of it, but if and when I do hear anything about something officially happen, I'll make sure to let you know. Sandgroper says, look, just because Execute is living in Tasmania does not mean he's living in the 1950s. Execute's not going to let that stand. All right, we got a question here. Zarek Master says, question. So how confident are you that the Hermes is a red herring? I'm not confident, but, Execute has brought this up. The Hermes showed up in the files earlier this year, or maybe the end of last year. And back then it was called there was a Hermes tag, but it was called the Aegis Hermes, right? So we've seen the Hermes in a few, sort of configurations. Dojensen, I did get your DM. Thank you very much. I'll connect with you here shortly. Give me just a minute, but thank you very much. I do have that. But I think it's really 50-50. It's 50-50. There's evidence that point to it just sort of being this thing that comes up in the game files from time to time, but there's also some evidence again, and some of it is like superficial evidence that it is an Apollo variant. I mean, look, the Apollo does probably need a third variant that is a little bit more that does appeal a little bit more widely to the player base beyond medical. I actually have heard from a lot of people that disagree with that sentiment, though. There's some people that really want to keep the specialness of it, the Apollo hull being a medical ship. And I can see both sides. But right now, I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I'm not 100% that there is an Apollo Hermes. I saw another question. Someone asked if I had tried the tech preview. So for those of you who know, Bunkerfist asked that. So tech preview is running again with engineering. I did try out engineering, and I'll say this. The engineering build I was running did not have the fire visible. So even though there was fires going, you couldn't see them. They're invisible. But I'll say this, engineering is an absolute game changer, like an absolute game changer. It really made me feel like, even in just my experience with it, that the ships became something more than they are. It's not just a ship with engineering. The ship itself becomes a gameplay loop. Okay, that's the way I'm kind of putting it in my mind, and that is a huge deal. Art, I don't know if you have anything to say on that, but like, to me, when the ships are with engineering, the ships are changing from one thing to another thing for me.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's definitely kind of breeding more life into those ships, so that they're not just a transport that we take from point A to point B. We log out in a hangar, and that's the end of it until the next time I need that ship and I call it back up and use it again. Yeah, it's given us a little bit of a life in Star Citizen is not going to continue to be easy.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and I've read a lot of stuff from people saying, "Oh, this is going to ruin Star Citizen," and on all this stuff. But I'll tell you, here's the thing: this was always the plan. Especially those of you new to Star Citizen, this was always the plan, that the ships would have this. Couple other questions. I want to grab this one real quick here. Tete says, will the Drake Ironclad be on sale at IAE on Drake Day? Yes, it will be. So no, yep, you'll be able to pick it up there. And again, if you want to get it for the pre-flight ready price, this is probably the last opportunity. I50mm says, question, what do you think of the Fender Meteora? I do want to answer this. I don't have the ability to show my... I don't think I have the ability to show my background because I have NVIDIA Broadcast running. I'll do that in the future. But if I turn on my background, you would see a wall of guitars behind me. For those that don't know, I do collect guitars. I have like 5 on the wall behind me. I have another 5 in the basement, all rare. I did own a couple of Meteoras. I do really love them. And I love that Fender is going out of their comfort zone and doing a new design. I think the Meteora is really, really cool. The only thing I wish about the Meteora, for those guitar players out there, is I wish the Meteora was a short scale guitar. If they did a short scale version, I would pick another one up for sure. GTL Record says, question, when do you think the Kraken will be released considering it is in white box now? Well, it's a difficult question, and I'll explain why. And I'm sure Execute would agree with this, actually. What we know of ship design, like ship pipeline length, is subject to change and vary because the processes are changing at CIG. The ship team has grown exponentially, and now CIG is working with these kits. Okay, we have the Drake kit, we have the Mist kit, the RSI kit. So Execute was told directly by John Crew and Ben Curtis that most ships or generally have an 18-month development pipeline. The Kraken is probably a bit of an outlier because it's just a massive, massive ship. So in the old school pipeline, the Kraken probably would be a 2.5, 3 year long ship. In the new pipeline, where they're working with the kits and they have this large ship team to work with now, and a lot of squadron people coming over, we just don't know. It's kind of a question mark. Could they theoretically get the Kraken done for next IAE, like next year IAE? I would say it's possible if they really put a lot of focus on it. Execute says all ships are 18 months, but ship pipeline can pause, so it can be longer, but not shorter. But there you go. Yeah. So essentially what Execute's saying there is that it can always be longer because obviously there's stops and starts and people move around and stuff based off priority, but generally it's never shorter because from just build standpoint, creating the art, the website, just all the things that the downstream teamwork, all that stuff, it just sort of takes that long. You know what I mean? Even if it's a small ship. But with the Kraken, it's a big question mark. I mean, it does not look like the Kraken would be ready for IAE next year. Is it possible? Maybe. But honestly, I don't want them to rush it. I want them to get it right. For me, Drake Defense Con 2027 is probably the best case scenario on the Kraken, where we're getting the Kraken as soon as possible while still leaving enough time in there for a proper build where they're not rushing things. See, Janice21 says, question, if you could pick 2 ships to blend together for the gray market manufacturer, what would you pick? I would probably pick, and Art, I'd like to get your opinion on this. I would probably pick for gray's market Frankenstein ship. I would probably do, it's a good question. I think I would probably do something like, yeah, this is a hard one. Art, do you have any ideas before I give mine?
I think, something that we kind of discussed earlier, maybe a Mustang with something a little bigger. So maybe Mustang with like, I'm going to go outrageous and just mix it with like an Asgard kind of style. Like,
yeah,
really.
It'd be cool. But the 2 anvils, well, no, one's consolidated Outland, yeah. You know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see a combination of an alien manufacturer and a human manufacturer. So maybe it's a human ship with like alien parts strapped to it. So something like a even take something like a Scorpius, but like you mix like some Tavaran Talon pieces on it. You put, just some alien elements on it to sort of juice it up. I think that would be kind of interesting. But I need to think about that. It's a good question. Rev Jazer says cutter body with Idris engines. Absolutely. Cutter body with Javelin engines. That sounds like a good idea for me. To
and a
kit
hammerhead
bash
and a
one day.
hammerhead front.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, here, everybody, going to do another question here. Let me pull it up. Stand by. Hold on one second. Oops, 1 second, everybody. Another question. Where'd it go? Okay. What kinds of things, this is from Axis 96, says, what kind of things besides armor could CIG add to the Twitch pool that would not threaten their bottom line? Blueprints for random things, maybe containers, masks for holiday. Yeah, I think all that's okay. I mean, look, maybe I'm here. This will be controversial. Look, when you're selling space junk space junk, when you're spelling, I can't talk tonight. When you're selling spaceships, let me get the words out right. Have I been drinking? What is in this cup? I think in this STARJUMP cup there is something I shouldn't be drinking. When you're selling spaceships for hundreds, even thousands of dollars, it's silly to me, these people that are so upset about like some armor being sold as a Twitch or armor being given as a Twitch drop or a gun being, I mean, it definitely doesn't upset the balance of the game, right? It's sort of like the thing when people were getting real upset about the avionic or the flight blades and the very minuscule bonuses they gave you. And they didn't even really give you a bonus. They gave you a bonus in one area and then gave you a negative in another area, actually. So they weren't even straight bonuses, but those were so controversial, but even that to me was not, I mean, again, when you can buy a capital ship with real money, which I'm totally fine with, but when you can do that, some of these other arguments just don't make sense to me. So that's, I think the sky's the limit, honestly. I think they could sell, or I think they could do whatever they want for the Twitch drops. I don't think they could do ships or anything. That'd be maybe a little crazy, but armor, weapons, boxes, subscriber flare, all that kind of stuff. Holiday themed items. A zombie says, question, do you think engineering will make large ships as mobile bases too difficult to maintain for smaller groups, or is it too early to tell, i.e. the Kraken to use in this way with 3 or 4 friends? But I'm concerned with the upkeep might be too much. Well, here's the thing to remember about that. And this is something that I think that is sometimes forgotten when it comes to the Idris and the Polaris and the Perseus and the Kraken and all these big capital ships. They're not properly balanced now for survivability and time to kill. Okay. CIG's all but admitted this multiple times. They're making tons of changes even now affecting that. In the future, in Star System 1.0, I am 100% certain that that capital ships like the Kraken will have a huge time to kill timer. Like, you're going to be able to have your 2 or 3 friends go run and patch stuff up while the Kraken's under active attack, and you're still going to be okay. The shields are going to stay up. You're going to have plenty of time to fix it, especially if it's small ships attacking you. You're not going to have to worry about it. You know what I mean? Now, if you have a capital ship attacking you, then that's concerning, and you probably should have took more than 3 friends with you. But that would be the case with anything. But if it's just you and a couple friends in a Kraken, so undercrewed, and you're being attacked by some Hornets or something, in Star System 1.0, you literally should not even have to do any repairing because their weapons are not going to get past the capital shields. You know what I mean? Jen Tonk says, question, how about a whole sea with a pair of great big Xi'an thrusters on the back? Yeah, I'd love to see that. And when it makes sense too, you'd want people to trick out their cargo ships to be able to run faster or whatever. So I think that'd be pretty cool. Hudson Hawk says, STARJUMP Grim question, do you think we'll have a longer cold weapon than knives? So you're talking about like a melee type weapon? Yeah, I think so. We'll probably get swords. There's going to have to be new animations for that, which is probably why we don't see them now. There was also, if you all remember, the elusive crossbow. We've seen that before CIG will eventually come with that. I mean, it's kind of a cool weapon. So yeah, I think we will see that. Vandal Spears, Zarek Master says Vandal Spears. Yep, that's a great point. Zarek Master says, StarJump Grim, question, does the Kraken have PDCs? If so, where? So the Kraken model does not have PDCs on it because it's an old model before they were even doing the PDCs. Going by John Crew's definition, though, the Kraken is not a military ship, so it will not receive PDCs. However, big caveat here, when it comes to big capital ships like the Kraken, CIG could still give those PDCs purely from a gameplay standpoint, gameplay balance standpoint. I personally think John Crew is going to caveat that in a future discussion and say that the Kraken will get PDCs, simply because it is a capital ship and has so many blind spots. I'm speculating there, but that's what I think. Couple more here. Access 96 says, question, hull B prediction for cargo stats. What's the current hull B supposed to do? I don't even know. Like, what's the current concept? Let me look up let's look up the hull B in Fleet Viewer. There we go. There's the little hull B. Let's move it over. Let's get the hull B's cargo stats up. So currently it's spec'd to have 384. They did say that it's getting a lot of that's going. I think that would be fine if it carries 384. I'd be totally fine with that. I think that'd be a good number. That'd be a hell of a lot of cargo for that ship's size. So I don't have any issues with that. I think that'd be a good side.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What is the one thing that you want to come within the next year between now and next IAE? What is one thing that you would just love to see that you think's reasonable?
Gameplay feature or ship?
Let's go with gameplay feature.
Well, I won't say engineering because we know engineering's coming. It's on the tech preview. It's coming. But what I want to see between now and next IAE is a tier 0 implementation of base building. Okay. And what do I mean by tier 0? Because I know CIG has even said that they don't want to do tier 0s anymore, but they still kind of do tier 0 releases. To me, a tier 0 would be for us, the ability for us to build small structures. So not even the medium or large or extra large and all that. Small structures on any planet and have full resource management integrated into the building process. Obviously, base building is essentially a larger version of crafting. Crafting is definitely coming in this year. They've already hinted that it is coming with the FPS items. So that's why I didn't say crafting. So things that currently don't have a timeline on them, I would say sort of a tier 0 small to medium base building implementation. That's what I would say. What about you, Art?
I think some actual company / organizational tools would be nice. Something.
Like the org social tools and stuff.
Yeah, just again, a tier 0, something to kind of get us started so that when we're playing with our friends, it is a lot easier to jump in with them. It's a lot easier to party with them. It's a lot easier for them to call for help in game. That would be amazing if I'm just flying my ship around and somebody hits me up and sends me some comms about, hey, I'm getting attacked and I need your help, and I'm able to click a button, jump a server.
So
I'm on my way.
I would actually requalify my statement then. I would actually agree with you. I think it's a more critical thing to come into the game in the next 12 months. For sure. I really do. I would agree with you on that. One more question here. Cody Fox says, I saw an IAE FAQ that they said the hull A is going up in price. No one's been talking about that. Do you think it's getting a buff? Some people are starting to talk about it, and it's right here. Is there anything new this IAE? They said these 4 ships are getting price increases. So Miss Hull A, or sorry, they're not getting price increases at IAE. They said that IAE was the last chance to get it at the current price that's going up afterwards. I think the hull B is probably going to stay where it is. SCU capacity wise. What I think you're seeing here though is a reorganization of the small to medium cargo ships and what CIG sees as their value in the game versus their value in real dollars. I think we're just seeing a realignment there. And you're going to see that with other gameplay role ships, like salvaging ships maybe, or mining ships or combat. You're going to see that happen more and more as we get closer to 1.0. It's just CIG starting to see how valuable those ships are in game, how much money they make in game, where their value should be in accordance with how much SCU they carry, not necessarily the ship's size, but probably has a lot more to do with the amount of SCU it carries, because that's sort of your return on investment with that ship. I think back in the day, it used to be sort of based off size. I think now it's coming down to actually the ship's capabilities more than its size. Everyone, we had a great stream tonight, didn't we, Art?
Absolutely, it was awesome.
Yeah,
it was awesome. We had a couple people, first time chatting and stuff like that. Occasionally, I get to see those when they post there. It sends me a little notification that this person's first time chatter. So first time here, obviously welcome.
Yep. And again, had a huge raid from our good buddy Citizen Spooner. Everyone from Citizen Spooner's channel, though, I just want to say thank you so much for hanging out like you did. So many of you stuck around after the raid, which was incredible. I love Citizen Spooner. He's an awesome dude. And I just had a really good time getting to know him over time. I enjoy his stream, so I appreciate his community coming over here, hanging out like you did. That's absolutely awesome. So again, really, really appreciate that. Zombie, thank you for that subscription. Everyone who followed tonight, everyone who subscribed tonight, I really appreciate it. You all are amazing people. I love you all. Thank you for the support. Art, thank you for the producing, as you always do, buddy. You keep me on check. We had a great turnout on YouTube and Twitch tonight, so really appreciate that. YouTube community constantly kicking doors down, showing up for the streams.
We got to adjust that follower goal too, because
we do.
We met our goal. So
we do. I think it
to shoot bigger.
I think it automatically adjusted it. So, but I'll check on that. But here's the last thing I'll say. For IAE coverage, you can expect me to post a schedule tomorrow on both Twitter and YouTube. I'll post the schedule for my IAE coverage, so you'll know exactly what days I'm streaming and what I'm covering those days, and possibly what giveaways I'll be given on those days. Okay, because almost every stream during IAE will have a giveaway, almost every one. Okay,
and they're nice.
Yeah,
a lot of those are very nice giveaways.
Yeah,
I've had a little peek behind the curtain.
And don't forget, CIG will be supplying some giveaways too, because I'm part of the content creator thing again now. So again, I'm not sure who helped usher that along. Maybe it was C Daddy. I know I met Xylo, and me and him had a great conversation at Quantum, so maybe he ushered it in. But either way, CIG does provide some great stuff too. Monte Claro, thank you for the subscription. Appreciate it, everyone.
Breaking news, Grim. You also met your subscription goal today. You got your 10 out of 10.
Awesome, everyone. Thank you very much. Seriously, I'm very blessed to have an amazing community here. The StarJump community, the wider Star Citizen community is amazing. So everyone, we're going to raid someone who was one of the very first supporters of StarJump back when I had like 30 subscribers. So I'm going to go ahead and send it his way. Make sure you stick around on the Twitch side. Give him some StarJump love. He's an awesome dude. And again, he supported me back when I didn't have any supporters. I think Execute introduced him to us. I can't remember. Either way, we're going to send you over to DG360. Please give him some StarJump love. He's an awesome dude. Tell him I said hi. I will say hi, and then I got to run and get my daughter some dinner. But tell him hi, everyone. You've been amazing. Thank you very much. It's been awesome looking at concept art. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good one.